me. Hello and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff podcast, where we talk about all things Star Wars. My name is James, and I am with a guest. And go ahead and say your name, please.
Hi, I'm Haley.
And Haley is really, really cool. David and I met her in San Antonio. We went to SpaceCon, and if you've been watching us on YouTube, she'll comment and everything. And she's really great, and she was really nice enough to join me on this episode. So as we get ready for the next episode of Skeleton Crew, and I'm very excited for this new episode because I have no idea what's gonna happen. But before we get started, we want to thank our awesome patrons. So just bear with me here. We have Darth Ace One, Leah McCallan, Chris Simpson, Kevin Leiniger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Maka Tatala, sorry about that, Adam Haber, Brad Mackey, Robro King, Darth Beard, Indiana Solo, and Marina. So thank y'all so much for supporting us and for being a part of our little patron that we have going on. And so yeah, oh, Marina's already on. So cool. So before we get started, Haley, I always ask anybody this question when they join us on the podcast, which is, which Star Wars movie is your favorite Star Wars movie and why?
Oh gosh. Okay. So this is a really close one, but I'm definitely an original trilogy girl, so I have to say episode 5, but episode 3 is a very close second.
Ooh, episode 5 and episode 3. Okay, all right, I got you. Yeah, episode 3, and I know we talk about all the time, is some people consider that's the best Star Wars movie. Then some people say Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie. But I'm glad you and I
Rogue One's
agree.
probably coming in at number 3 for me. I love Rogue One.
I have to give Rogue One another shot. I haven't seen Rogue One in a while, but I always go back to Empire Strikes Back and The Force Awakens and Last
Exactly.
Jedi. Those are the ones I like to watch. But yeah, Empire Revenge of the Sith has grown on me a lot over the years. Bender is in the house. Hello, everybody. Thank y'all for joining us. So yeah, we are just about 45, a little over 45 minutes away from the next episode of Skeleton Crew, episode 6. And I just looked it up, and this is the one that's directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. So I think we all figured last week was going to be the one, but now it's this week. Are you excited for tonight's episode, Haley?
Oh, so very excited. The show has exceeded expectations. I mean, I came in kind of with uh, a moderate amount of like trepidation when it was first coming out, but it instantly captured me.
Gotcha.
And
Was
the
it the
last
whole?
episode was probably one of the most exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was shockingly just like I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then the very end, the last like 2 minutes, I was like, what is
Yeah.
going on? Like, this is not what I thought this show. I mean, I know David is like, it was gonna go this way, and I'm like, I get it, but in my mind, I was thinking it's not gonna do what it did. So what are
I
your
did anticipate Jod having a little turn of character.
yeah, and like not
Yeah.
just any type of turn, but like an evil turn. I mean, he was about to hurt the kids and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I guess that's good because it raises the stakes for the show.
Yeah.
It's not you don't feel so safe. Before we go on, Noah is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, Noah. How we doing, folks? Happy New
Oh,
Year.
Happy
Happy New
New
Year.
Year.
Yes. Happy New Year to everybody. Right now for me, it is only 5:13 in the evening. What about you, Haley? What time is it for you? Because you're in Florida.
8:13.
Oh my
Yep,
gosh.
Eastern time zone. That's
Yikes.
okay though. Love spending my new year with you guys.
Oh, that's very, very sweet of you. But so what are your predictions for tonight's episode? What are you thinking is going to happen in tonight's episode?
Oh gosh. Well, I'd love to see what happens to the kids when they fall down that chute. Where do they end up? And then does Jod have a change of heart? Does he go after them, or does he kind of pursue the infinite riches that he thinks he's going to get from finding At and
Yes, yeah, yeah. I'm wondering if that's going to happen in this next episode, or we're going to have an evil Jod for like a couple, like the next two. And the last episode, he
then he
redeems
finally
himself.
turns? Yeah.
Yeah, but where the kids end up is very. I'm really curious as well because I was like, yeah, they go into the trap, and then oh my goodness, we have a great surprise here. I'll let that surprise happen on its own here. If whenever they're ready, they'll jump in. But yeah, wherever when the kids, oh there he is, there's the
There he
surprise.
is.
Surprise.
Hey, David
Nice
is
of you
in
to
the
join
house.
us, David.
Yes, thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much for having me.
No problem. So, David, what is your favorite Star Wars movie before we get started? Since you're a guest now, and Haley and I are obviously
Hmm.
now,
My favorite Star Wars film.
What is your favorite? I think I know it. No, I don't know what it is because
I
yours
mean,
changes a little bit. Yeah.
A New Hope, Return of the Jedi. I think Rogue One is kind of gaining. I mean, I really love. I mean, the original trilogy really is like my favorite thing, and that's what got it all started. The practical effects, the acting, the actors, the nostalgia of it all. Just a different time altogether. That was really the beginning. And I've seen those movies so much that I think when James and I talk, sometimes we just start reciting the lines from the film. It gets weird
We
sometimes.
did that the other day, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to tell you what was going on. But anyways, yeah, David and I were just reciting one of the movies. But great. Thank you so much for joining us, David. Like I was saying before before you joined, this episode is one directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, and her episodes in the past have proved to be just awesome. From Mando, Book of Boba Fett. Like, I mean, every episode she does is incredible. So, are you expecting big things from this episode, David?
Well, we heard a while back that these two episodes this past episode and then Bryce's episode are going to be big ones. So, yeah, my hype level is a little high. I hope we're not, I don't know, overhyped and come away from this thinking that, yeah, the episode wasn't that great just due to the hype.
It's difficult not to be hyped for this episode because of where we left off, and then of course who's going to direct it. Noah has some great words for us. He says this David guy has some cool vibes. Y'all should have him on the show more often. And you know what, Noah, I agree. I think we're going to have David on the show more often going forward. But yeah, I will admit, David, it is kind of hard not to be hyped for this next episode. Just because, like we said where we left off, and Haley let us know where she wants this next episode to go. Where do you think? What are you expecting for this one, David?
I do have a little bit of an idea because there was a screenshot I saw that was a little spoilery, but it led to, I think, where everyone is kind of thinking it's going to go to. I think it might involve the supervisor finally. I think we're going to finally kind of learn who, what, the motivations, that type of thing for this episode. So I'm thinking we're going to find out some stuff.
Like, you finally think a lot of the questions that we've been having are finally going to be answered, and then the last few episodes are just going to be the resolution of that. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, pretty much. And I hope we get to see Jod use that lightsaber. That'd be pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying.
So, and if he can use it, then I think that'll answer a lot of people's questions. That in fact, he was trained. He is force. I mean, we all kind of figure he is force sensitive since he did drop Qui-Gon's line in the last episode, which I thought was. I remember I was like, I was all freaking out when he said those lines. So yeah, if he uses the lightsaber, I have a feeling if he uses it on the pirates, they're all gonna like kind of stop and then like be like, okay, you are now the captain. He's like, look at me, I'm the captain now. And the kids, what do you think the kids are going to discover in all of this? They're going to discover they shouldn't have trusted Jod, or what do you think the kids' journey is going to be, Haley, in this next episode?
I mean, I think that whether Jod knows it or not, they have a little bit of a hold on him, and so I think eventually he's going to come back around.
Ooh, okay, all right. So he did develop an attachment to the kids, which he said not to. So he's actually going to turn back on what his advice was. So, okay, I like that. I like that redemption arc that he's going to have. David, are the kids going to be trapped? I guess for both of y'all, do you think the kids are going to be trapped in the tunnels the whole episode? Or how do you think they're going to get out? I mean, we know there's going to be X-Wings involved. So obviously Kim is going to let the Republic know. Are we going to see some major cameos in this episode? What do y'all think?
Everyone's pointing like to Carson Teva because of the X-wings, but yeah, I don't think the whole episode is going to be tunnel stuff. There might be a little bit of a time jump.
Oh,
It'd be cool to see like directly right when the kids fell through the ground, where they went, how far they slid or fell. But yeah, I think it's just very interesting that I think all these years that we've been talking about Star Wars, I don't think anyone ever kind of thought of or brought up the notion of a character like Jod, because Jod is basically Han Solo with the Force up to this point.
okay.
Did we
A
ever
little bit of a
like,
scoundrel.
yeah, that actually had the ability to use the Force and possibly was trained as a Jedi? And I mean, Jude Law's like portrayed that character so well. It's like, why haven't we thought of this type of character before? You know, I mean, this was never like a class. You know, like you have
Yeah.
the scoundrel, the like Harrison Ford always said, the callow youth in Luke Skywalker, but we never had that like hybrid person.
Yeah, you're
So,
right.
unless I'm mistaken, unless there's something in the books or video games or something,
I mean,
I
I
don't
know
think we ever
Colin-
got this.
Colin
Yeah.
would tell us, well, there's this one person. And we'll be like,
Yeah.
"Okay,
No, I mean there are some ambiguous characters in the book, especially like the High Republic series.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's that one, ex Jedi that like, kind of goes off and does her own thing, and she's fighting like the Drengir, those little creatures.
mm,
She's kind of like a sword for hire in a way, like a
Okay.
mercenary type. But she's not, later in the books she proves that she's not completely like on the good side or the bad side, but she kind of comes back and helps the Jedi.
So Haley was saying before that she thinks Jod is going to have a redemption. He's going to. What if they don't do that? What if we get to the point where Jod is he is the villain of the rest of the episodes? What do you think that would be good for the story, or do you think that would just a lot of people would be disappointed that Jod ended up just becoming the villain?
It kind of feels like they have to do that because otherwise it's just going to be Han Solo with the Force, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars does love redemption. Vader, Kylo Ren, everybody, Han Solo, like he's, comes back and saves the day on the Millennium Falcon. So you're saying, David, don't do it, because if not, we're just going to end up being like, oh, we knew what was going to happen the whole time.
Right. It's how do you reconcile Jod's character if he is going to be that way? Because you think about like it is tinted more to be a kids show.
Mm-hmm.
More kids are watching this. I mean, you had kind of like that very, very kind of shocking line that Fern gives, but you're a grown up. We were supposed to trust you, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that really kind of hit home for me because when I was growing up, I trusted all grown-ups, you know? I had that same kind of like innocent thing. And I mean, did they employ like a psychologist for this and ask, like they did with Empire Strikes Back, is it okay if we do this? Is it okay if Jod betrays the kids somehow, some way? And if that happens, what do we do with the kids' storyline? Should the kids somehow like become victorious? It almost feels like we are heading towards maybe Fern challenging Jod essentially in future episodes here.
I had a feeling if Fern had called his bluff when he had the knife up to her neck and she was like, okay, go ahead, kill me, he wouldn't have been able to do it. I don't think he would have done it.
Yeah.
I don't know. He looked a little convincing, and I thought, I was like, are they really gonna? I knew they weren't, but Jude Law, of course, is great. He had me kind of going, he might actually hurt these kids, and that would be very, very crazy if he did. But yeah, I don't know. It is really fun to think about that she would challenge him at the very end, and but it's like how would she fight him? Like, I don't know. It just or she could say we're all the crew. You have to go against all of us. So it's all of them against Jod. There's that.
Maybe she chooses like a champion and has Smee fight him.
That's a good option.
They could do like an elaborate scheme, Home Alone style, where the kids set up a lot of traps for him.
booby traps throughout the tunnels and everything. But what's funny about them going into the tunnels is this goes right to the Goonies whenever they go underneath the Fratelli's hideout, and now they're going through the tunnel. So that's going to be a fun little. I mean, this whole series is a callback to the 80s, but I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see them in the tunnels, see them trying to figure out the puzzles and how to get out and everything. And I like David saying, well, we want to. I don't know. One of David's favorite movies is The Two Towers, and how the beginning where the camera just pans down with Gandalf, and then we follow him.
Oh,
that'd be a really
awesome.
good way to start this episode, where it lowers, and then we just go straight down with the kids and see, okay, where did they go now after all this? And poor Wim is going to be just hurt. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to wonder if all the Jedi are evil, like whether or not any of that was true or not. So that's going to be interesting to see how how Wim is going to react to what just happened to him. So I think there's a lot going on, and it just makes it so interesting. What do y'all think? Do you think Wim's going to be hurt, or maybe?
Yeah, I think he's gonna kind of grow from this in a way, and he's gonna be like more world weary. He's not gonna be as innocent, which, yeah, it's kind of sad, but he is gonna grow from this and be a little bit more street smart like Fern, I think. And maybe
this
be
hurts
more.
me a little bit for Wim as well, because he's finally getting like the validation from Jod that he didn't get from his own father. You know, he was like, "Oh, Dad, tell me a story. Oh, Dad, look at these Jedi," and his dad's kind of like, "No, grow up." And then Jod is kind of giving him that like validation and kind of acting as a parental role to him, and so he probably feels especially betrayed.
Yeah, so I think Wim is just not going to be. He's going to be just distraught this episode, and they're probably going to be telling him to snap out of it. You know, we need you to help us get out of here, and he's just going to be like, I don't know. Do you think we're going to see? Oh yeah, you did say we're probably going to see a little bit of the supervisor. So I was going to ask, are we going to see the parents, their journey now this episode? Are we going to be cutting back and forth? Because I need to know why Wim's dad is just kind of nonchalant about his son not there with him, and just like, oh, my son's missing, it's fine. I need to know all of their story, because it's making me mad that we haven't really seen their part of the story. But
Yeah, I'm thinking now that when they fall down into like the catacombs or whatever, they're going to encounter that crustacean creature that we saw that Phil Tippett helped with possibly in this episode.
So awesome. Can't wait to see that. Oh, Liam McCallum, hello, Happy New Year from Scotland, which
wow.
I believe
What time
it
is it in Scotland?
I was going to say, I think it already is the new year. It's already 2025. Y'all are going to be wishing me, so Haley's going to wish me a Happy New Year, and then David's going to wish me a Happy New Year, and then I'm going to wish them a Happy New Year after they're all asleep. So that's how this is going to go, because I'm all the way
I don't know.
here.
Might not be asleep. We'll see.
Oh, geez. Oh, gosh. What about you, Dave? You going to stay up all night?
Yeah, I'll probably check out everything that's on TV and maybe rewatch the episode. I don't know. Just depends on, I guess, the quality of the episode. I don't know.
Oh, so you're very nervous about this episode.
Not nervous, but I mean, if it's really, really good like the last episode, I'll probably rewatch it again immediately.
Yeah, because last episode was really good. And the one before that was a little disappointing. It was a little slow, and it was like, okay, come on. To the point where I actually don't even remember what happened. Oh, no, it was the parkour. It was the flipping around.
It was Neil getting his woman.
Yeah, he's all sliding up next to her, like, hey, how you doing? She gave him a kiss on the cheek and everything. I was like, man, look at Neil go, man. He's on fire here. But yeah, I forgot about that episode.
Riz.
Oh my gosh, and I love that. Like, they're really promoting Neil. Like, a lot of the pictures, Neil's like front and center. So I'm like, that. I think they figured out, oh, people like him, so let's just keep this guy as our front and center. So yeah, do we know how long this episode is going to be? Have y'all heard anything?
I'm thinking it's going to be in like the 40-45 minute range.
Just give me 2 hours. That's what I want. I want a 2 hour long video.
I'm expecting the Andor episodes to be like hour-long episodes now.
Yeah.
Right after like all the time and all the money they've been pouring into it, and Tony Gilroy having all this power, I could see him being like, "Oh no, these are going to be an hour and 15 tops," because they have to cover a lot a lot of ground. Oh, somebody,
speaking of-
Alpha Squirrel 762, which is by the way a great name, has a prediction, which is I think they'll find a Sith temple on the planet, which would be wild. That would be
Ooh.
that would be something. That would be something really cool to see. I mean, because we saw in Rebels that the Sith temple was buried underground. What else? The Jedi temple in Coruscant is built over a Sith like temple. I mean, what do you think about? I like that. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I think they could do some callbacks to Rebels.
What about you, David? What do you think?
Well, it feels like they almost need to find another lightsaber. So if they find like a red bladed lightsaber, go up against Jod at some point to challenge for the captaincy.
Wouldn't it be cool if the lightsaber goes from red to blue?
Yeah,
like the kyber crystal goes back to its like natural color when like Wim holds it or when Fern holds it. That would be pretty cool. Just saying, we haven't seen that. We saw in the Acolyte when they bled the kyber crystal to red, which is really, really cool. So that would be something pretty nice. So Alpha Squirrel, thank you for putting that thought in my head. So now that if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be really disappointed if they don't find a Sith symbol. But like David said, they have to find another lightsaber. Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me is finding another lightsaber. And whose lightsaber is it going to be? It's going to be Anakin's, right? That's what we're all predicting. That would be wild. That would be wild. Noah says, after last week's episode, do y'all think Fern's mom is part of a nefarious plot that's happening on Atten?
Ooh.
I don't know. Part of me thinks she still has a lot of hope in her work that she's doing, that she probably doesn't even know about that, is what I think. What do y'all think?
I don't know. I think she's maybe covering something up. She's like, oh, we have to do it by the book. We have to do everything according to protocol.
What about you, David? What do you think?
I think at first I was leaning that same way, but as time has gone on, it almost feels like they're a little bit in the dark too. Like they don't know certain things. But the way that that Wim's dad kind of reacts to things, it's not natural to me. So it's almost like he knows something that there's some form of guilt on him.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, if my kids like disappeared, I'd be like frantic and ballistic, and I wouldn't be going to work. And if I was going to work, I mean, I would be like noticeably like just off, you know. And he seems like he's like sitting there like really calm and like meeting up with Neil's mother, and
he's all like, what are you doing here? And it's like, what do you think? What do you mean? What is she doing here? She's trying to find her kid like you should be trying to do, man. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And you're right. Yeah. His reaction has been very weird. I really hope there's a nice payoff for that. And it's not just bad direction. I mean, I hate to say that, but I really hope we do get a payoff for why his dad is just so weird about it. And
they don't have any backstory on the mom, right?
No, we don't. We don't have any.
Yeah.
And did Neil
what if his mom's the supervisor?
I think we thought about that one time. I think David and I talked that maybe that's going to be the twist, is that his mother, Wim's mom, is the supervisor, and that the dad is like, I don't know, he knows, but maybe he's like feeling bad for what happened to his son. And I don't know, there's still a lot of mystery, and they only have 2 more episodes after tonight to wrap it all up. It feels like they have a lot going on. Do you think they can do it all in the next few episodes?
I think they can. I don't think there's going to be too big of an issue with the time left remaining. I mean, all we have to tie up with is supervisor and kind of why Atten is what it is, like the Fort Knox of the galaxy.
And why?
Hopefully we get the backstory of and maybe find out how that connects to the greater story of Star Wars. Even though a lot of people point to, oh, this is a great standalone story, and it's like, I don't think it's really standalone. I think it does have ties into, you would think, First Order stuff and possibly Palpatine, one of his plans, one of his kind of long game strategies, possibly.
I think that would be the best if we find out a little bit about Palpatine's story, or they even bring in Snoke, because at this time nobody knows Palpatine is still pulling the strings. So if it's Snoke who comes in as kind of the villain, then we're gonna be like, oh, okay, now we're starting to see how the First Order began. And yeah, I agree. It's not a standalone show, because if it were, it'd be very, very disappointing. Like it would end, and we'd just be like, cool, that's great story, bro. But we need it to tie in with everything else. Um, so I was gonna ask, who else could we possibly see in the series? Like Haley, who would you want to see in the
I
series?
wanted to see Hondo. Hondo Onaka. I mean, they've got pirates. Where is he?
It's very. I know Colin had Colin had a nice rant about that, but it's very true. It's like you have Hondo. You've been talking about Hondo since the Clone Wars. You've been talking about Hondo for Rebels, Galaxy's Edge. Like Hondo is a character in Star Wars. He's a pirate. This show is all about pirates. Where is Hondo? Why have we not seen him?
Exactly.
I mean, that would be pretty cool if he comes in at the very end and saves the day. I would be like, that's good for Hondo. Oh, you okay over there?
Yes.
Oh yeah, David has that problem all the time.
I see that.
If you saw this on YouTube, you saw what happened. Anyways, what about you, Dave? I know. Did you say who you wanted to see, David? Like, besides Hondo?
I mean, it's interesting because we've seen a lot of species of aliens. I mean, we've seen just about every single species from every single trilogy. I mean,
I love the little guy that lives in Smee's eye.
Yeah. His name's Snowball, right?
Something like that. I was so wrong. I thought that was Smee the whole time. Like for the first episodes, I thought that was him. But then I was like, okay, never mind, it's not. But I like my theory.
David Collins did say that the little scream that he does is the same audio from the monkey from Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Good tie-in.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen
the whole last episode was an Indiana Jones callback.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the
booby-trapped temple.
The kneeling down when the thing comes over, that was really cool. And then the music when they go into the treasure sounds a lot like the Ark of the Covenant theme from the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And yeah, that whole episode was a nice Indiana Jones. And I feel like every story, like Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and I think even Rebels, they've all done a callback to Indiana Jones. There's been an Indiana Jones like kind of episode, and it's really funny to watch because you're like, oh, okay, I see what y'all are doing. And then I think this episode's the Goonies, them in the tunnels trying to get out. That will be exciting to see. But yeah, so we've seen a lot of aliens. What about characters like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker? You know, what do you think, David?
You know, a lot of people aren't bringing up this fact that we've been bringing up constantly. This is the second most expensive TV show in the history of mankind. So yeah, maybe we're gonna get like a Han Solo appearing or Luke Skywalker. I mean, something that's like technologically very expensive to see on screen. So yeah, there's that possibility is very real.
It always gets me whenever you hear that, like it's one of the most expensive shows ever, and then you watch it and you're just like, oh, okay, where did that money go? I mean, with Acolyte, they had a big, budget, and then you watch it and you go, yeah, I could see it, but I don't. And then you watch the first two episodes of Skeleton Crew and you kind of go, okay, I can see where that money went. But yeah, you're right. All that money. So it's like, who can they bring in? Has to be Mark Hamill, right? Just kidding. That would be so good though for like.
Well, maybe it's Han Solo. I mean, pirate show, the ultimate pirate. Han Solo and Chewie, that'd be pretty cool. Falcon.
That would be insane. But does he have
young Ben Solo?
Oh my gosh! Do you think they would do it?
That would be crazy.
As David says, it's a slam.
I don't want to get my hopes up.
Yeah, that's the thing with these shows. I mean, we thought there was going to be a crazy event to happen in the Book of Boba Fett for those last two episodes. And then when they ended, we were just like, oh, okay, we didn't quite get this big showdown we all predicted. We didn't get the Falcon flying in. We didn't get, other bounty hunters that we've known throughout the years to come in.
Well, I mean, didn't they kill off Cad Bane at the end of Boba Fett? Finally.
Kind of. I mean, I know there's a whole thing where people are like, well, actually, he has like 2 hearts or something. I don't know. There's a thing where people said Cad Bane could possibly still be alive, which I think that was a cool thing for the show when they brought Cad Bane in. I was like, yes, it's so great.
You know,
But,
I can see a scenario where they wanted to do the big like crescendo with the Falcon and all that stuff, and Bob Iger got wind of it, and he put his hand on Filoni's shoulder and was like, "Let's save that for the theater, son."
Is that how he talks? That was the best Bob Iger impression I've ever heard in my life. So yeah,
Dave, we're saving it for the theater.
jeez. I mean, yeah, you're probably right, but it's so shocking when we hear about things that were supposed to be in Star Wars, and then it doesn't happen. Especially with the Disney era, you're like, why did that not happen? Like, come on, like people would be so happy if Yoda was in like 4 or 5 episodes of The Acolyte. That wouldn't have ruined anything. You know what I mean? That would have
Yeah.
worked. If Plagueis had a conversation in The Acolyte, that would have worked. Why the whole mystery? Why the whole like, oh, we want to hold it back. We don't want to. It's like, why? There's no reason to do that. And this show, I think, has given us more than I thought it was going to give us. So it's like, it has the this one show has the potential to give us that what we've always wanted. And I got my hopes up. I know I'm really, really hyped. I'm really, really excited, and I'll be really disappointed if it doesn't happen. But I feel like this is the show that has the potential to do that. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
David looks really disappointed right now.
Yeah, you just got me wondering what like big thing can they do
Oh, that's
to
what that
kind of
face
justify the
was.
budget, you know? Because yeah, they spent a lot of money, but we all do know that like everything that Lucasfilm spends money on, it's going to be more costly than other productions because they are Lucasfilm, and they got to
It
go
is
through
Star
official
Wars.
channels, and the craft service people have to be vetted, and then you got to pay a lot for that, and you got to pay a lot for renting. Like, I don't know, you would think they own like the stagecraft and the volume or whatever, but I think they got to pay for that. They got to pay for electricity. I mean, all that goes into it.
I heard something about the stagecraft in Manhattan Beach.
Yeah.
And I was really shocked when I'm not going to say it on here because I don't want to.
Oh.
I don't want to give. But
yeah, you could tell me off air.
I'll tell you off the record.
Holding all the good juicy details.
I know. I'm bad. But it was, yeah. I heard this from somebody, and somebody who knows like their spouse works there, and I was like, oh my gosh. But anyways, yeah, it is always funny when you hear about the budgets for Lucasfilm, because you're like, what? Where does the money go? Like, where does all this? And you're right. It is expensive because it is Star Wars and it is Lucasfilm. So,
I think I remember this story about the volume. Somebody made the mistake because they needed a lot of dirt for the ground, and someone made the mistake and they dropped a bunch of like manure instead and stuck it all up.
oh my gosh, that's horrible.
I think that was a story back then. I don't know if we talked about it, but
who approved that? You know what I mean? Just yeah, we have ranches here in the area, but it's like, how much did you have to get to ship it to? How much money did you have to spend to ship it to the volume and to dump it there?
So they had to like clean it all back up and like make sure they actually got like real dirt.
Matt Skywalker said Happy New Year from Australia.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Matt Scott. I hope
all
that
the
is
way in Australia. It's already New Year.
I think it's already tomorrow, like well into tomorrow there. So
yeah.
For all right. Now you have to tell us what time it is.
Yes, Matt, let us know what time it is. And everyone in chat, let us know what time it is right now. Because right now for me it's 5:43. So yeah, let us hear what time it is for y'all. Wherever you're listening, because that would be a lot of fun to do. So
David's already drinking out of his copper mug. He's probably got a Moscow Mule in there.
Wait, is that the one from SpaceCon? Is that the cup?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was that mug from that crazy.
No, that one's red. That's the Wild Bill mug.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's huge.
Matt Skywalker says it's 12:13 p.m. here in Australia, South Australia. Wow.
Yeah, it's lunchtime there.
already in a whole other day, and you're already doing stuff, and we're just behind over here. That's interesting. But I was gonna say something, but I forgot. But we are about 15 minutes out, so we're getting ready. It's about to happen, and I know a lot of people are. Hopefully, a lot of people watch tonight because I know a lot of people are thinking about going out because it's the new year. But I'm glad we're all here. I'm glad we're all here about getting ready to watch it. Um, do we know the numbers on this show yet, David? Have they released any of the numbers about how many people are watching it?
So last I heard, it's having a little bit of trouble cracking like the top 10 in streaming, but that was like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I think the show has a lot of goodwill though, and I think the same effect is going to have it with Acolyte when the entire show drops.
People
are going to go and binge it, and it's going to get these huge numbers, and it's going to end up being number one in streaming at some point.
Yeah, because I went on because I had to make sure there was an episode tonight, so I went on Disney Plus, and it's the number 3 most watched this week, which was behind Lion King, behind Deadpool and Wolverine, and then Skeleton Crew. So I said, okay, it's good, but I wish it was number 1 on Disney Plus because I think, like I said, I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun, and I really want it to do very well because it's one of those shows that I'm enjoying immensely. And I know Acolyte had its issues, but in the end I still enjoyed it. But with this one, I'm like, I am in it. I am all for it. So I really hope it does really well. But yeah.
You
do too? You really want it to do really well?
Of course.
You want to see that second season?
I mean, I think so. I think regardless, they're going to leave us maybe a little bit open-ended when it comes to the end of the show. They'll leave room. They'll probably see kind of how, like how people respond to it before they sign on to make another season. But I think they'll leave room to make another.
What could be the big cliffhanger for the end? I know we still have a couple more episodes left, but what do you think could be the big cliffhanger for the finale for us to go, oh my gosh, like we need that second season right now? What do y'all think?
Well, I think, they had all of these other planets that were similar. So, they had the At and At Akron, maybe there's something in that kind of group of planets that there's another secret hidden. Maybe something when they, we find out more about the supervisor or the supervisor's tower. Maybe there's something there that kind of leaves room for more mystery.
I'm really hoping the supervisor's tower is the Wizard of Oz. Like I really want us to get up there, and then it's just this face or this thing, and then we realize, oh, it wasn't. It was somebody else. Somebody else is in L.A. Mariana Arnold, 546 in Los Angeles. Hey, I'm just right down the road from you. That's funny.
Hey,
but what do you think, David? What could be a big, nice cliffhanger for the finale of the series or season?
So I think about John Watts and like what type of like clout he has, because he and Chris Ford developed the story. The question is, did they go into this thinking that they could end it on a cliffhanger with the presumption that they would get a season 2? Or do you think they developed a series with a finite ending? I mean, what do you think they I don't think they have a cliffhanger coming up. I think it's going to tie up pretty nicely with the option to add on to it, but I don't think we're going to get a straight up cliffhanger per se.
Gotcha. Yeah, you have a point. I mean, minus season the finale of Mando with the that's all, folks, ending. But a lot of the series, a lot of the Disney Plus shows, the Star Wars ones have ended in a way that you're like, oh, I want to see the next season. Yeah, it has an open ending. So it's interesting, David, that you're saying end it, get us the final story, and then when you introduce a season 2, we're all going to be like, what's the next season going to even be about? Like, what are they going to do? What's the next adventure going to be? So I think, I like both answers, but I kind of like David's answer a lot because it's like, man, that's really interesting. That's something they haven't done with live action. Noah says Disney has dropped 2 quiet hits in succession with Agatha all along and Skeleton Crew. After everything that came with the Acolyte, it's nice to see the fans uniting around something positive again, which is very true because a lot of people are really, really digging this series, and we are. Of course, we talk about it all the time. And then Matt Skywalker, yes, they do have ideas for season 2, but whether or not they're going to introduce those ideas at the finale of this one is up for debate right now, because yeah, we'll see how they finish it up. And all right, we are 11 minutes out. What you got?
I was going to say, you do have to factor in they gave John Watts and Chris Ford all this money to do this series. You would think that would give them confidence maybe to do a cliffhanger type thing, and to have that notion and bring it up to the audience. Maybe you do have kind of a finite ending, but then you do come almost like a post-credit type scenario where there is something else going on, and then it kind of like makes us like think about, okay, well, they clearly had the idea for season 2. The show is critically being held to be really good. Jod is a good character. People really like him. The kids are working out. So I think everything's kind of coming together here to actually what we get a season 2. But then you got to put that up against the whole mandate from Disney, where they're going to concentrate on theatrical stuff. So this maybe helps Disney in a way to figure out what the next thing they want to do for Disney Plus. The kids are going to be older. It's going to be an older show, and Watts and Ford say that they do have more storyline to tell. So it kind of feels like we're going to lead to maybe an announcement in Japan at Celebration for a season 2, possibly.
Do you really? Oh man! And Haley and David, are y'all both going to be going to Japan, right?
Oh yeah,
for Star Wars Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I got my plane ticket.
Oh, you got your plane ticket? Oh, me too. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we're dragging you along. It's happening.
I have my passport, so that's like half the battle right there, is get a passport.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But yeah, so a season 2 announcement in Japan would be really great. But it's also one of those things where, I don't know, I think just to keep everybody excited, I think Disney would announce almost right after the finale, oh, by the way, we greenlit the second season. Because I remember when Mando came out, they had already said they've already greenlit the second season. So we were like, oh my gosh, that's so great. That means it's good. And so I'm wondering if we're gonna do that now. And then Mariana says the next adventure is a kids, adults united, and women as a pirate, and Neil is the new supervisor. That would be crazy. Neil becomes a supervisor.
Wow.
Calling it now. All right, you heard it here first, folks. And Matt Skywalker says, "Got to come to Japan, James." Great. I'm glad everyone is.
It's happening.
Yeah. But all right, we are nine. No, yeah. Before we go on, Haley, is that an episode 1 Sebulba pod racer above your head? Right
It is, oh, yes.
Do you have?
So,
oh my gosh!
I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so I have a lot of Star Wars merch behind me.
I remember you sent me a picture because you were like, because you said I'm moving in, and you sent me a picture, and I think you have the Queen Amidala doll, and I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, that's the coolest.
There they are.
That's awesome. I mean, I think, and David and I always say episode 1s are one of our favorites, and anytime there's merch, we're always like, oh my gosh, I gotta get all episode 1 merch, and it's so cool. So yeah, I just want to shout out to both David and Haley for having cool stuff behind them, making it entertaining. And David, I think you should, like, every episode move it around and like just do something different with your background, and just to confuse people.
Yeah, I'm actually going to move to a different room in my house, a larger room. So everything's going to be kind of redesigned behind me.
Reorganize the helmets.
Yeah. I'm trying. I want to do the whole thing where they're like floating on the wall.
Ooh.
Instead of just being in like cubbies there. And yeah, just get rid of the shelves altogether, and maybe do some like special lighting and put up some posters I have.
I do have a big Star Wars pop display in my living room.
Oh, you're one of those people.
Hundreds of Star Wars pops.
Oh no,
it's a problem. I just ordered Neil.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's coming in soon.
If you do pops, be careful, because once you start, it's
a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. You're done. That was me and a few posters. Once I got one poster, then I was like, I had to get more posters, and then it was like, oh, this is an exclusive poster. So then I got that one, and then that was it. But anyways, what else? I was going to say something. Oh yeah, length. We don't know the length. We're thinking 45 minutes, hopefully. I really want it to be an hour because I feel like this episode's going to be really big, and I feel like we're going to get a lot of revelations in this episode. So I really want it to be long. And Disney, for some odd reason, does not want to do long episodes, and we will never understand why. That's
I think maybe their viewpoint is this is like a long form movie and they just chop it up into segments and they're like, you're getting a long thing already. But I mean, we got to do the whole waiting game till next week for another like 30-minute chunk of it.
I will say this last week went by pretty quick for me. I feel like we were already here. And
well,
it's like,
I mean, Christmas.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Christmas to New Year's. What is happening with time?
Yeah,
time doesn't exist whenever it's been that period between Christmas and New Year's. Noah says I was finally able to snag a Neopop today after looking for weeks. So
yay, Noah! Me too.
Bunch of nerds. I'm just joking. David, what's on top of your Stormtrooper helmet? Top right above your head, David.
Face hugger.
It's a face hugger from Alien.
Yeah, it's a face hugger. So yeah, with San Diego Comic-Con, I was at the Alien Romulus panel. They had all the face huggers like crawling around from off the set from the movie, and I got to like fist bump Fede Alvarez, the director.
That's awesome.
And so, funny story. I wanted to talk to Eddie. Eddie is like the guy that kind of runs Hall H. You see him come out in between all the panels, and he kind of like talks to the crowd a little bit. And I wanted to get a selfie with Eddie. But a 20th Century Fox rep, I didn't know this. He had like a headset. It was like he's working drive-thru. He was talking to Eddie, and I was like, "Hey, Eddie, can we get a selfie?" And the guy turns to me and he like gives me like this like death glare, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll come back."
What?
And yeah, he was a 20th Century like wrangler for all this stuff because they did a lot of stuff on stage. They had those like official face huggers that were like crawling the stage. And they had a guy with a chest burster come up on stage and it popped out. So there was a lot of like management with all that stuff. And they wanted to get it all right, I guess. And then there was a lot of footage they showed us that they wanted to like make sure that no one was recording, that whole thing. But yeah, at the very end, they came out like 20th century people came out with like big clusters of face huggers and they were handing them out to the crowd. I was in the press cage. I was like, I cannot miss out on this. I got to get me one. So someone came around and I was like, hey, can I get one? And they threw me one. I was like, okay, great. I got one.
Okay, so did they throw it and then it landed on your face? Like,
yeah, it's totally articulate and posable. And yeah, I stuck it up on my Stormtrooper helmet. But as we were walking out though, so everyone in the audience, it's kind of hard to believe, got one of those face huggers. Hall H, it's like 6,000 people. Mm-hmm. When Ted and I were walking out, they had like, those big trash industrial bins with wheels. They had like 6 of them filled with those face huggers. And then I was like, should I go ask for another one? And then somebody came by like, hey, you want one? And want another one? I was like, yeah, sure. So we gave that one away on Countdown. Nice. And then we walk out, and I see all these people with face huggers like clustered. I'm like, oh, I should have got more.
You should have done it.
Yeah, we were walking opposite directions, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to be greedy or anything. Maybe they're gonna go to the kids. I don't know.
if Ted ever comes on, if you look behind Ted, he has his face hugger on a proton pack from Ghostbusters, which I always say is one of the best sentences I've ever said in my life because it's a lot of nerd going on there and I love it. Oh, looks like we're 3 minutes out. But yeah, this is exciting. This is going to be a big episode. Bryce Dallas Howard directed it. And I really hope she gets a whole feature film soon because I think she's one of the best directors they have right now for Star Wars. And yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. Any last words, David, Haley?
Well, this has been very fun. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining.
Hope everyone has a really happy New Year.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yes. I always forget it is New Year's because I'm just so excited for the episode. I forget that it's a whole New Year's. And are y'all going to be shooting off fireworks, either of y'all, or no?
Oh, no. My dog would hate that.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I have 4 dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try to go on the roof today, see if I see any fireworks going off in downtown LA. So that'd be pretty cool. So
you can podcast from the roof, James.
I should podcast. It's loud up there. It's so loud. You can hear that. You can hear the interstate. It's right next to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
it's already almost 9 here. So after the episode, I'm gonna go downtown, and they'll probably be shooting off fireworks on the beach. So
Nice,
Nice.
nice. Noah just asked, are y'all doing the post show tonight? And David, are we doing the post show tonight?
Yeah, I'll be doing it.
Okay, cool. I'll
Talk
jump
about
on
it.
as well. And Haley's going to be out partying and enjoying New Year for us. So, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. So awesome. Hopefully, this is a great episode, and we'll be back with the post episode with our thoughts and what we saw. And yeah, David, you wanna sign us off?
All right, yeah. For Haley, James, my name is David. May the force be with you.
Always.